Alright, let's pick up this video where I left off. Part 1, you saw I had to take off quickly and run to the emergency room, so I just covered everything over here. We did get some rain in between and put some plastic on it. And here we are a couple days later. I dragged everything back out and set up again to do the final grinding and kind of give you my opinion of this thing. So I'm going to start out today with some of these hard red wheat berries. And apparently the difference between the red and the white wheat is that the red wheat berries have a much higher gluten content. And these I bought off Amazon, as I told you before. So I'm just going to start with a pretty full cup, 2 cups of them. And let's grind them up, see what happens. Now the grinder's all clean from the first time I used it. I cleaned everything out and we're ready to go. I've got it set a little bit coarser now to get started. And you can see these wheat berries really do grind nice. I'm just cracking that valve open. If you open that thing fully, you could grind like 100 pounds of this stuff in no time. So for my needs, I'm just going to let a little bit go through at a time and get less dust. So there we go. The first pass. And see, it did a beautiful job. It's a little bit coarse. I did have it opened up, a little bit because they say to grind stuff twice. So I'm going to run this through a 20 sieve or 20 mesh sifter here, and I'm going to try to get all the outer bran off of that. Separate that out now and. Just put that in a separate container because I don't know how useful that is. I'm hearing it's good for animal feed, but I don't know. I haven't, looked into that yet. So then what's left, I'm going to just run through again and go a little bit finer on it. I want to get this down to a flour consistency. I'm calling it flour if I can get it through the 40 mesh screen, and I probably could go closer, but I'm just being careful I don't have the 2 plates in there touch when I'm grinding. Okay, so there it is. And now this is the 40 sieve here. We're going to run it through. And it does take a little time. I guess I have to make some better sieves or better screens here over time to be able to do it faster. But looked like it came out really nice, and I did have some that was a little bit too coarse to go through there. So I'm just going to adjust this a little finer and run it through again and see if I can get everything to go through that 40 mesh screen there. And that's the good thing about this type of grinder. You can regrind things. If you want flour to be a little bit finer, you can run it through again. But as you can see, the finer you get, the more dust that you get. So that there looks good. I basically got everything to go through there now. And then I ground a little bit more so I'd have enough. And you can see I got the bran again there. And now I'm just going to put this in a container and, hopefully we'll come up with a good use for it. So actually, there it is, the red winter wheat. And that's just beautiful. Really nice, and this one's supposed to be a very tasty, high gluten wheat. And that's the bran. They have other names for it, but I'm just going to call it the bran, and I just have to figure out a use for that. So I'm going to save it for now until I see whether it's bird food or good to eat. So looking at them, you can see the white wheat and the red wheat. There's a little difference in color, and there's a difference in gluten also, from what I understand. So now it's time to go back through and clean it up again, and this actually is the worst part. You want to make sure you don't cross-contaminate, so it does take some time to clean out. And as I said before, the easiest way for me to do it was to try to brush most of what I could get out of there, and then just take the air hose and get the fine stuff and get it out of that area down there where I can't get a brush in. Alright, so now we're moving on to corn. This is a organic dent corn that I bought on Amazon. I'm going to try grinding that. Just grab a 2-cup thing there. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust this pretty coarse, just to show you that you can just crack corn with this if you want to. You can crack an awful lot of corn an hour for, let's say you have pigs or chickens or, animals you want to feed. And, usually I guess they crack the corn to make it easier for them to digest and eat. And this is just the first pass through with the, set a little bit coarser grind. You can actually go even coarser than what I'm doing here, but and it does go through there pretty quick. It does make quite a bit of dust with the corn, I'm finding out. But there it is. The first pass is just you can see it's just basically a very coarse cracked corn that would be good for animal feed. That's one use for this machine also. So all they have to do is just adjust that a little bit closer together there with 2 plates and run it again. And I'm going to try to get to a coarse cornmeal grind along with grits. So I'm just going to run this through here now, and you can see it just everything feeds through there perfect. Goes fast. This thing's just amazing so far. And there we are. But the thing is, I do have a lot of the outer shells from the corn in there mixed in. So I'm going to have to come up with a way to get rid of them. Right now I only have, this is the number 20 mesh sieve that I'm using, and this is supposed to be just about a coarse flour. And I'm looking for a number 16 that's supposed to, give me the grits and hopefully take most of the outer casings off. But for now, this is what I have. So there's the coarse grade cornmeal. Really beautiful. I can't wait to try that. It smells so good. And then I actually ground up another cupful, so I'd have a couple cups to play with. First, I ran this one back through just a little bit finer, and then I ground the second batch here. And again, I'm just cracking that valve a little bit. This thing will grind fast. It's got the power to do it. Alright, so let's get this one sifted up a little bit. And it would be nice if I do make a power sifter someday, but that's grits, and you can see it's kind of mixed with the outer casing too that got ground up first time through. I'm just gonna run that the actual sifted stuff through one more time at that same setting, just to make sure it's all consistent. And actually, once I do get more efficient at this, I'll probably do less passes and stuff. But I'm going to need some better equipment too to separate everything out. So this actually is another half a cup of it too that I ran. And there it is, the end product. I did get my flour. And I'm going to run this this third batch actually a little bit more. I'm just kind of playing now to find out what it's capable of. And it's really pretty amazing all the different grinds you can get out of the same machine just by adjusting the plates. So at this point, I have my, I have enough cornmeal to get started with. And you can see it's a real nice grind, a little bit coarse, and that's what I was shooting for, but not too coarse. It's a little bit finer than a 20 mesh screen right now. That's kind of what I was shooting for, just the texture. And that's what it looks like. Beautiful job grinding it. And then I have the what's left that contains the grits and the outer shells from those first passes. And I have no way to separate it. I don't have the 16 screen, so I got out a fan and I figured I'd try to just see if I could blow the outer casings off. And just kind of poured it in front of the fan, and actually it did work. All I can say is luckily my wife was inside sleeping, because you wouldn't want to see the mess that I made in the end. But you know, first pass through, and it did remove quite a few of them, separated out. And let's do another pass here. And each pass removed a little bit more of the, you know, that fine outer casing that got ground up in the beginning. And the cornmeal actually would drop right down into the bowl. And this is, you know, I'm making grits here. So in reality, I should be able to do this for screens later when I get a 16 mesh. But for now, I'm just trying, and it looks better every time I do a pass through there. You can see, and finally after about a dozen passes, I did wind up with just the grits there. And a heck of a mess. Birds did like that though, and you know, I did finally clean it up in the end. Alright, so let's go back to cleanup again. Now I'm about to try something I don't want anybody else to try. I originally read on the internet that you could grind any type of bean. But it turns out after grinding red kidney beans, I found out that they are toxic if not cooked properly. So this was just a test. I'll substitute other beans in the future. But I did grind them up, and I'm going to toss them out now. But basically, I just wanted to show you can grind beans, and I'll be doing soy and stuff like that later. But I had no idea that kidney beans were toxic until I started looking for recipes and came up with government warnings that they must be cooked properly, or you can get very sick from them. So I'm just going to show you that I was able to, you know, make some nice flour out of them. Kind of a waste of time doing it, but I did learn don't do it again. So, and there it is. So, you know, I'll just substitute soybeans and whatnot the next time. Now, one other thing I wanted to try was oat flour. So we had this container of oats. It was opened up, and it did have some moisture in the oat flakes, I found out. Made a little difference. It made a moist flour, but I decided to just try some of them and see how they came out. So there it is. I kind of got everything set up, put them in there, and I didn't know what to expect next. I set it a little bit finer, and then you just got to pull that slide out, let them run through, and oh my god, perfect oat flour coming out of there. You can see that is pretty amazing. I had my doubts because, you know, these were a little bit moist from just having the container open in the summertime. And there you can see, went right through, no problem, and I did wind up with a really beautiful flour there. Now this stuff's really expensive if you go to buy it, so this is going to be a really good use because it's gluten-free, and you know, you can use that when you have guests over that have problems. And there you can see sifting it. This is the number 40 sifter.
Oh my god!
Mesh screen. There were some. You can see there's like some little clumps building up there, and that's actually the moisture. You can feel it. It's a moist flour, but look at that. It just came out beautiful. There's a sifted batch. So yes, you can grind oat flour with this thing. Just comes out beautiful. And I ran that through the grinder again to get a little bit finer, the coarser stuff, and got everything to go through the sifter. So in the end, I wound up with beautiful oat flour too. So you can see kidney beans are off my list, and they should be off everybody's list, but everything else just came out beautiful, and we're finally trying to get trying to come up with recipes for the different flours. And I just can't believe how good this machine works. And it's probably going to be too big for many people, but if it fits your needs and you have the power requirements, the price of it really isn't that bad compared to what's out there. So there's my my final test of it, and it's just pretty amazing. I did make a label to put on it though, to clean it thoroughly after each use, because it does need a good clean out, and it takes a couple of minutes. And load it on my tractor. I'm going to bring it around back into the downstairs for now, so I can roll it outside to use it. But now we're going to make some cornmeal. This is a recipe off the back of a bag of cornmeal flour that we usually use. We usually use a sweeter one. So got everything out, and we're going to use the cornmeal and the hard white wheat that I ground in it. And there's a greased pan to put it in. So my wife's putting it together, and the recipe basically calls for equal amounts of cornmeal and flour. But we decided to go 1.25 cups on the cornmeal, get a little more corn flavor in there, and then 3/4 cup on the hard wheat flour. And actually, in the end, that turned out being just a wonderful combination. It was unbelievable. Just the flavor of the corn in that wheat makes it so hearty. It just was wonderful. But anyhow, this is, just kind of throwing the ingredients all together. And this is our favorite quick cornbread that doesn't take buttermilk or anything like that. And it does come out, really nice in a 400-degree oven. So my wife's got all the dry mixed up, and then the wet, and put it together, stir it up, and 5 minutes later you've got the batter into a greased baking pan there. No cast iron or anything required, so it's really easy, quick. And then put it in the oven and bake it. So that recipe is basically on, I think, the Indian head corn
timer for 20 minutes.
Cornmeal packages if you buy them. So she starts out with the recommended time. And as you've seen before, she has her magic finger that can tell whether or not an item is done. So let's touch it with the magic finger. And nope, needs another couple minutes. So back in the oven there.
Minutes.
And finish it up. And 4 minutes later, I think it was, it passes the finger test. So it's done, ready to enjoy.
Yeah, that's it.
So glad to have her back, in the kitchen cooking and doing things again. And look at that, it just came out beautiful. A couple of minutes later, we let it cool, and I'm just going to cut it here and show you exactly how it came out and what it looks like. Came out really beautiful, really tasty and flavorful, and you can see the corn grind is a little bit coarse, but it turned out being just perfect. And that's what it looks like. A little bit of air in there, and that flour just made it amazing. Fresh ground wheat flour. We've never used high gluten flour in it before, and I tell you what, it does make a difference. So that was, one of our first tests with it, and it came out amazing. Definitely worth doing. So in the end, I'm going to say this thing's really going to be a great grinder for our needs. It's really overkill for what we need. You could probably get along with something smaller, but I think for the price point, it's just amazing. And we are having really good luck with, like, that cornbread there. It came out awesome. And my wife did make a red wheat loaf of bread there, and that came out good. It was a little bit kind of fell apart if you tried using it for a sandwich, so it's good for toast. So we're finding out that you have to learn to blend the flours to get more flexibility in it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.